Hi, my name is Kevin Taylor. I would like to applaud the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, on the AIRBUS scandal. This is with all due respect. With all due respect, my fellow Ghanaians, so as we continue to struggle to stamp out this societal ill, corruption, one lesson that seems hardest for Ghanaians is that the cultivation and maintaining of public trust must play equally important role as implementing sound policies or enforcing laws. Let me commend the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Let me commend the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, for his quick, my fellow Ghanaians, I say this again. Let me commend the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, for his quick response to the AIRBUS issue. I am commending him for prevailing on the special prosecutor to immediately investigate the whole matter and also identify the persons whose names coded in the report. I am in full support of the President's swift action. I'm taking my time to do this. I'm in full support of the President's swift action and ordering the special prosecutor to get to the bottom of the scandal. If any wrong or corruption is found by the special prosecutor after his investigation, the law must be applied and individuals involved must be prosecuted for their crimes. Yes, anyone found involved in this scandal, in this AIRBUS scandal, should be prosecuted for their crimes. My fellow Ghanaians, we must understand that leaving the report in its opaque state would amount to keeping Ghanaians in the dark, hence the need to go for further clarifications. My fellow Ghanaians, for this my party, this NPP government, to be taken seriously in its war against corruption, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo must stick to this principle irrespective of the individual or individuals involved in this corruption. The principle of giving corruption the needed attention like this AIRBUS scandal is very crucial to our governance and democracy. We also have to understand as Ghanaians that until the government boldly make it known to Ghanaians some of these crucial issues, they might not take the fight against corruption serious. Our failure to respond swiftly and appropriately to the many serious issues that have come to light will lead to an unsurmountable deficit of public trust. This is the main reason behind my constant attack on the President, yes, Akufo-Addo, relative to corruption, and at the same time, the reason why I am commending highly for his swift response to the AIRBUS saga. I think developing and streamlined mechanism for sharing investigative information would allow our law enforcement agencies and investigative bodies to act faster and identify changes that might otherwise go unnoticed. I honestly think the special prosecutor should use this opportunity to establish perfect relationship with other foreign bodies. Corruption has been and has remained the biggest roadmap in the path of development, growth and good governance worldwide, especially we in the developing countries. Mr. President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, I, Kevin Taylor, I am expressing my joy. I'm expressing my joy and commending you for your swift reaction. In fact, Mr. President, corruption fight also includes being fair and impartial, irrespective of who is involved. The honest truth is, I was so excited to see politicians, especially from the majority side of parliament, pushing for those behind the AIRBUS scandal to be investigated and prosecuted. The majority leader, Akyem Mafia, has been a very vocal individual in this AIRBUS scandal, and I really commend him for his show of patriotism to fight corruption, irrespective of who is in power. I have the belief the majority leader will approach every single corruption case with this kind of honesty to prove to Ghanaians that he deserves another term in office. All I can say is thank you, Mr. President, for paving the way for the ordinary Ghanaian to bring out other corruption cases, because we know that you, Mr. President, you will give it the same swift attention, and I believe you will never be impartial to fight corruption. Mr. President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, I applaud you for your swift action and your swift response to this AIRBUS scandal. My fellow Ghanaians, now let's do this. Mr. President, this episode is dedicated to you. Yes, I know you are ready and willing to fight corruption, so I have dedicated this episode to you and the majority leader. Now, people are wondering, who is this mystery man behind me? Mr. Producer, if you can change these pictures, I'll be very, very happy. You can move the man in the dark to the side. But fellow Ghanaians, now let's get to the real issue today. Another scandal, and I know the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, will do justice to this in the next 24 hours. Mr. President, this scandal is on your table. You've had this document or these documents sitting on the table since 2017. In fact, when you were an Attorney General, you had these documents. But I'll cut you a slack because you were not the president. Today, I'm going to show you these documents again. And I'm going to tell my fellow Ghanaians to follow up the media men who want stories to chew on. Yes, the propaganda journalists who are trying to avoid stories like this. I'm going to email it to every media house. I'm also going to show this document to the Inspector General in the United States because some men involved in this scam or this fraud are in government today. Technically, they are fraudsters and criminals we have to get rid of. Now, Mr. President, on the 18th of September 2017, the Labour Policy International sent you a letter. They wrote to you. They CC'd so many people in this letter. So what I'm talking about today, Mr. Producer, you can put the letter here. The Auditor General was CC'd. The General Secretary, SSNIT Pension Association was CC'd. The Executive Director, Ghana Integrity Initiative, you also have the letter. Organized Labour, they have the letter. The Commissioner for Human Rights, Shraj, also has the letter. The Minister for Employment and Labour Relations, they also have this letter. And also the Minister for Finance and Economic Planning, they all have this letter because they were CC'd. And the letter was written on the 18th of September 2017. Now, it says, report on forensic audit of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SSNIT. And this is what the letter says. It says, we forward herewith for your steady and necessary action a copy of a report on the forensic audit of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SSNIT, conducted by a team of consultants led by Worldwide Investment Company Limited and Deloitte and Touch at the instance of the Ministry of Finance in 2001. It goes on to say, its findings and recommendations, when implemented, should have a positive impact on corporate governance of SSNIT towards ensuring security of funds as well as prudence, transparency, and accountability in its administration to ensure retirement income security for its membership. A management review, which should also interest you, was conducted concurrently and was to be submitted subsequently to the report on the forensic audit. We are advised and believe same to be true that although the report predates the establishment of the authority, actions on the findings and recommendations contained therein are within your mandate and can be dealt with appropriately, counting on your cooperation and due attention. Yours faithfully, Seth Abloso, Acting Executive Director, and he CC'd the President, Flagstaff House, the Director General, Social Security and National Insurance Trust. So this letter was written to you, Mr. President, about some fraud which was committed at SSNIT in the year 2001. It actually started in 1999, 2000, 2001. And you know, through that time, you were the Attorney General. I'll cut you a slack because you can say that you were the Attorney General, you couldn't pull all the string to prosecute these people who were involved in this scandal. This is the SSNIT scandal, the biggest scandal to hit SSNIT. Today you are the president, that's why I'm bringing this up. And you have shown that, Mr. President, you are willing and ready to fight corruption the way you are fighting the AIRBUS. Now, on the 19th of October, after they wrote the 18th September letter, they didn't get any response from you, Mr. President. Let's say you were busy. On the 19th of October 2017, the same year, they wrote another letter to you. Labour Policy International. Mr. Producer, can you put this here? And these documents, I'm going to make it available for Ghanaians to see for themselves. Yes. On the 19th of October 2017, they wrote you another letter. The Chief Executive Officer, National Pension Regulatory Authority, NPRA, on Na House Kanda Highway. And the caption is, dear sir, summary of findings on the forensic audit of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SSNIT. And this is what's in the letter, as you can see here. It says, we refer to our letter dated 18th September, this letter I just read, 2017, by which a copy of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust Forensic Audit Report 2001 was submitted to you. Kindly find attached summary of findings. Now, the report their second letter, they actually added a summary of the forensic audit. Findings extracted from the said forensic audit report, which we believe you should find instructive. Now, submitted for your attention, necessary actions and advice, please. Yours faithful, Seth Ablozu, Acting Executive Director, and then so many people have been CC'd here. You can see His Excellency President, the Flagstaff House, the Director General SSNIT, the Auditor General, the General Secretary SSNIT, the Executive Director Ghana Employee Association, Organized Labor. They were also CC'd. The Commissioner for Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Shraj, was CC'd. The Minister for Employment and Labor Relations, they were all CC'd. The Minister for Finance and Economic Planning, all these people were CC'd. As you can see, this is the summary of the forensic audit they did on SSNIT in 2000. This is the forensic audit. In this audit, you find out that a few men came together, built up a company which did not exist, and duped Ghana 5 billion cedis. In the old Ghana cedis in 2001, that was $526,000. In 2001, it was 5.3 billion Ghana cedis. In dollars, it was over $500,000. These individuals cooked up a company which never existed and sold to SSNIT and made away with that money. And these individuals are in government today. So I expect, we are talking about SSNIT money, our pension money. So I expect, Mr. President, as you are willing and ready to fight corruption now, and in the next 24 hours, these men who will be mentioned in this scandal, you make sure, if they are in government now, because our constitution says in Article 94 that if you have any criminal record, if you become a fraudster before, if your name has been mentioned in any crime, you cannot serve in the office. Whether a minister or appointed by the government, you cannot serve. So clearly, if any individual is involved in this and the forensic audit, the recommendation states it or emphatically says that that person is a fraudster and needs to be prosecuted, I don't think that person deserves to hold any office, especially any government office. It's simple. Now, this is the summary. Some people will say that he went to pick a document and said that, yes, it's a summary. Now, I have a 70-page document. This is the forensic document. The whole forensic report, a 70-page report. And it was done in 2001. Forensic Audit of Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SSNIT, as you can see. It's a 70-page document. And I'm going to make every Ghanaian have a copy of this, especially the majority leader, Akyem Mafia. We need to follow this quickly and make sure people involved in this scandal, if they are in government today, they need to be arrested, they need to be taken off their position, and they need to face the court because they are fraudsters. I didn't conduct this. This was a forensic audit. This was an investigation. Our money, government of Ghana put together a team to do the investigations, and at the end of the day, they brought their recommendations. And their recommendation says that all the men who were involved in this are supposed to be prosecuted. Now, let's move straight to page 19 of this forensic audit. In page 19, you see that, producer, can you put this document on the screen? Page 19, it clearly says, chapter 3, it clearly says a brief on identified cases of improprieties. Brief 1, Obotan Developers Limited. Brief 1, Obotan Developers Limited. This is the detailed report, and I'm reading to Ghanaians. Yes, I'm reading to Ghanaians. It says, the background says that by an undated investor participation memorandum from Data Bank Limited and subsequently by a letter dated 10th December 1998 from Enterprise Insurance Company Limited, Social Security and National Insurance Trust was invited to participate in the real estate investment opportunity. The investors claimed they had acquired a parcel of land lying between the Independence Avenue and Osu Avenue for the purpose. The proposed company is Obotan Developers Limited. Obotan Developers Limited. This Obotan Developers Limited, that is the Ponzi company some individuals in government today put together to dupe Ghana or SSNIT of 5 billion old Ghana cedis in 2001. 2001, that is over $500,000. Producer, can you put the person who was behind this scandal's picture here? This person, Ken Ofori-Atta. I started speaking, you had Data Bank, you had Enterprise Insurance. This guy was the person who manipulated that. And I'm going to show you his name in here, the recommendations and what they said should happen to Ken Ofori-Atta and his Data Bank and Enterprise Insurance. It's a long document. I'm going to break it down quickly so that later I'll publish every document for Ghanaians to read for themselves and know that what I'm lying or is the truth. Because the president is ready and willing to fight corruption. And I know in the next 24 hours, Parliament, the majority leader should come out and implement this. It is very important because our SSNIT money, our pension money needs to be protected. Now it goes on to say, Enterprise, now this is how the shares was put together. The property comprises the Masela house on number 3 Osu Avenue and 3 other small houses dotted on the parcel of land measuring not more than 300 feet on the perimeter. Now, the proposed shareholding structure was given as follows. Enterprise Insurance Company Limited, they had 45%, which is $1.8 million in 2001. Big money. Social Security and National Insurance Trust had $1.6 million, giving them 40% shares. Home Finance Company, HFC, had 7.5%, that is 0.3 million. And Social Security Bank Investment also had 0.3, that's 7. It comes together to be 100%. Now, see this. However, the board of directors of SSNIT on the 16th of February 1999 decided to acquire majority shareholding interest of 55% in the project. Now, listen to this. By a letter dated 26th February 1999, on Data Bank letterhead, its executive chairman, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, requested the Director General of SSNIT, Mr. Charles Asari, to make payment for shares of Obotan into an escrow account established at Enterprise Insurance Company Limited. The reason why Data Bank Company Limited, which is not a shareholder in Obotan, requested SSNIT to pay the money into EIC, that is Enterprise Insurance Company account, is difficult to comprehend. This is the forensic report, and this is what those investigators are saying. They said they were shocked that Ofori-Atta actually wrote a letter to SSNIT. Ofori-Atta's Data Bank and Enterprise Insurance, they do not have any shares in Obotan, but they wrote a letter from Data Bank with the late Data Bank letterhead on it and say that they should pay an amount of money into the accounts of Enterprise Insurance. Now, let's see this. The bottom part, it says, subsequently, on the advice of the board, reference letter dated 26 February 1999 from the Solicitor Secretary to the General Manager of Investment and Development, SSNIT paid $2.244 million to Enterprise Insurance Company Limited. As we speak, nobody knows Obotan Developers. No Obotan Developers Limited. It has not been registered. It is not a company. It is a company which does not exist. But Ken Ofori-Atta and his Data Bank and Enterprise Insurance ordered SSNIT, which was headed by Mr. Charles Asari. Mr. Charles Asari, who used to be in the NDC government, yes, at SSNIT, ordered Charles Asari to pay $2.44 million into Enterprise Insurance accounts. Obotan wasn't an existing company. It was a Ponzi scheme. Ken Ofori-Atta was the person who wrote the letter. Fellow Ghanaians, I am not going to read everything in this document, but I'm giving you some points so that on Tuesday, when I get on radio, we can break this down for Ghanaians to understand the crime, the fraud Ken Ofori-Atta masterminded. Today, Ken Ofori-Atta is the finance minister of Ghana. This guy is a fraudster because the forensic report stated what should be done after this crime was committed. Let's go on. In page 20, it says, at an exchange rate of $1 to 2,400 Ghana, like in old Ghana cities, 240 Ghana. Yes. It says, SSNIT issued Agriculture Development Bank ADB check. Producer, put it here. ADB check number 109362 dated 26th February 1999 for 5,385,066,000 cedis to Enterprise Insurance Company Limited, EIC, to cover the 55% shares. So Ken Ofori-Atta, after he wrote the letter to SSNIT, he said that money should be paid to Enterprise Insurance. Remember, Enterprise Insurance did not have any shares in Obotan. So why is the money supposed to be paid to Obotan? Because in the first place, Obotan is the buyer. If Obotan is the buyer, why should the money be paid to EIC? Meaning, Ken Ofori-Atta and his clique, Kali Gajopo and the rest, they cooked up a company and sold to SSNIT and said, SSNIT, pay that company with SSNIT money. SSNIT, give us money because that company is the company we put together. Not knowing there is no company. No company. Let's go on. It goes on to say that a copy of Certificate of Incorporation dated 19th March 1999 and a copy of Certificate to Commence Business dated 23rd March 1999 and delivered to the Investment Department on 29th March 2001. A memorandum from the Solicitor Secretary of SSNIT covers the incorporation of the company. It goes on to say, however, SSNIT has not been issued with any share certificate yet. The Obotan did not issue any share certificates. Yes, meaning there was no company like Obotan. Because if Obotan owes that amount of shares, why is it not giving SSNIT any certificates? So now page 22 is the improprieties. They also went into and to the background of Obotan and all that to see that if this Obotan company is really a company. Now, this is what they found. Producer, put it there. It says, all the 4 houses on the project site are currently occupied. That was the houses they were selling from CFAO. Yes. All the 4 houses on the project site are currently occupied. The 2 houses from the Independence Avenue side of the property are occupied by Italians and Russians. The 3rd is occupied by a Nigerian, and the Melissa house is occupied by officials from Data Bank. Yes, this Data Bank guys, right? They cooked up a project, they cooked up a real estate, they cooked up a company, and they went to SSNIT and said, SSNIT, come and do business in this real estate. And SSNIT, knowing that Asari, the SSNIT board guy, the Asari guy, Charles Asari, knowing that this was a scam, he joined them to do this deal, to put this deal together. So they went there. Data Bank is in that building. A statement of affairs received from the company secretary showed no rental income. It, however, showed utility bills as follows: electricity for 10 months, water, and also repair and maintenance. Now, the question is, who is receiving rental income on behalf of Obotan, and why is Obotan bearing expenses on utility? Because Obotan is a buyer, he just came in. So who is receiving that? Now let's go to the recommendations. After they did all this, because I'm just giving you a brief, later I'm going to take my time on radio and break it down for Ghanaians to understand the crime, the fraud. Somebody like Ken Ofori-Atta and his group, his Enterprise Insurance and Data Bank group put together to steal from us. This is SSNIT. SSNIT, our insurance money. Now, the recommendations they made after the forensic audit. It says, from a review of the records on this project, we recommend that the following actions should be implemented. And all that I'm saying, the president have copies. President has a copy. He has a copy of everything here. It says, the promoters of the project, Enterprise Insurance, Data Bank, and Awuna Law Consultancy should be prosecuted for deceiving SSNIT into a joint venture on Melissa House, that is presentation of false information. This is simple. This is the recommendation after the forensic audit. Obotan, this is the recommendations. It says the promoters of the project, Enterprise Insurance, Data Bank, and Awuna Law Consultancy should be prosecuted for deceiving SSNIT into a joint venture on Melissa House, that is presentation of false information. Remember, Ken Ofori-Atta was the chairman of Enterprise Insurance, and he wrote the letter to SSNIT to be paid 2.something billion, 5 billion old Ghana cedis. So if you're talking about Enterprise Insurance and Data Bank, the chairman and the people involved, the head who wrote the letter and his name is on it, on data bank letterhead, is Ken Ofori-Atta. So why is Ken Ofori-Atta today in government taking care of our money? Why is Ken Ofori-Atta handling Ghana's money? This guy has done it before and we know what he can do. And today we have handed our finances to Ken Ofori-Atta and we are chasing goose. Ken Ofori-Atta is a thief. I'm going to hand this letter, everything, to the IMF, to the World Bank, for them to know the kind of person they are dealing with, because in 2001, this guy was able to take 5-something billion cedis from Ghana, over $500,000, and he hasn't paid. That is the problem we have today. Mr. President, if you say you are ready to fight corruption, Mr. President, this is what you have to fight. Today, you have to make sure the finance minister, who has been stated in a forensic audit report as a fraudster and a criminal who put together a fake company to dupe Ghanaians of our SSNIT money, 5 billion, this man has to resign today. Majority Leader Chairman Sabonsu, this is what I'm telling you. Ken Ofori-Atta, with his data bank and enterprise insurance, Ken Ofori-Atta, on the letterhead of enterprise insurance, wrote a letter on data bank, wrote a letter to SSNIT, and his name is in the report, that they should pay over 5 billion old Ghana cedis, over $500,000 in 2001. If we had kept that money in SSNIT's account, do you know how much money would be now? Osei Chairman Sabonsu, you are the majority leader. You are vocal on this AIRBUS issue, and I support it. Please be vocal on this. I'm going to send this document to Parliament. I expect the minority to pick this up. I expect my fellow journalists, my fellow talkers to pick this up, because what is happening today with the AIRBUS, the same thing should happen today with this SSNIT fraud. Ken Ofori-Atta and his SSNIT and his EIC, that is Enterprise Insurance Company, and Data Bank defrauded Ghana millions and billions of cedis. Billions. In 2001, do you know how much? Mr. President, I know President Kufuor ignored this. President Atta Mills, may his soul rest in peace, he ignored this. John Dramani Mahama, President Mahama, he ignored this. Mr. President, if you want to save your face, save your image, and be the person who says he's fighting corruption, today, the finance minister and his group of criminals have to be reported to the special prosecutor. The finance minister has to leave his office because he's a fraudster. He's a criminal. He's a thief. He stole from our SSNIT pension. Ghanaians, our fathers, our mothers, some people have died after serving long term in government offices because they could not access simple money. Because Ken Ofori-Atta and his group, his criminal group, Kelly Kanyopo and the rest, stole from Ghanaians. And his name is here. He actually wrote the letter with his name and took the check. So, Mr. President, what are we doing about this? This Obutan scandal is the biggest scandal to hit SSNIT. It's the biggest, because if anybody can enter into SSNIT and steal from us, that person can kill us today. And we have handed over our finances as a country to Ken Ofori-Atta. He puts together a fake company. He brings in those companies. He comes to lie to SSNIT, drag SSNIT into this, then steal from SSNIT. This same person has been given the position as the finance minister. Today, he is handling the monies. That's what I'm saying. The Inspector General of the United States, I'm going to forward these documents to him. The IMF, the World Bank, for them to know the kind of person they are dealing with. This is a criminal. And Mr. President, prove us wrong that you are ready and willing to speak truth. You are ready and willing to fight corruption. If you do not prosecute Ken Ofori-Atta, if you do not tell the man to resign in the next 24 hours, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, you do not deserve to be the president of the Republic of Ghana. And that you are equally as a thief as Ken Ofori-Atta, because you are condoning crime. My fellow Ghanaians, on Tuesday, meet me on Loud Silence Radio and on TV. Meet me on YouTube. Meet me on Facebook. I'm going to break things down. Today, I touched on some things. I'm going to go into the details and how they put the documents together, the papers together, the people who were very, very much involved. How Ken Ofori-Atta duped Ghana 5 billion old Ghana cedis and $500,000 then in 2001. We are not resting until the thieves have been caught. My fellow Ghanaians, I've always said, I'm just a messenger without a Quran or a Bible in his hand. A messenger who is ready and willing to speak truth to power. My name is Kevin Ekobedu Taylor, and this is with all due respect.